Mickey?
Turn it over to Tim,
Okay.
unless Nick gets here, but.
So
Okay, we're ready to go here.
Is that Kevin?
Yes, all set.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Oswego County Industrial Development Agency meeting of October 25th, 2023. And before we begin, I'd like to ask our CFO, Kevin LaMontagne, to introduce the guests and the staff, and then I'm going to have Board Member Tim Stahl do a roll call vote to ensure we have a quorum. So, Kevin?
Thanks, Gary. So as far as guests, we have Ben Morrow from Daldrop SBB, one of the projects on the agenda today. In addition, we have our audit team from Grossman St. Amour, Christina Andreco, Jamie Galante, and Bree Lane. As far as staff, we have our general counsel, Kevin Caracoli, our chief executive officer, Austin Wheelock, and me. I'm the chief financial officer of the agency. That's it, Gary.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Tim, we have a roll call vote, please.
Sure thing. Gary Toll.
Present?
Tim Stahl, I'm here. Len Check.
Present.
Mark Recco.
Here.
Barry Trimble.
Here.
And then Nick Canale is excused, and Trisha Peter Clark is excused as well.
Okay,
So we have a quorum.
great. Thank you very much, Tim. Okay, we'll start the meeting up. First of all, the minutes of our meeting of September 27, 2023.
I'll move it.
I have a motion by Len Schick. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mark Greco. Any additions, errors, or corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are carried. And the notice of the meeting was printed in the Palladium Times on October 10th, 2023. Also in the portal, we have the treasurer's report for the fiscal year ending September 30th. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Tim Stahl,
Second.
seconded by Gary Trimble. Any discussions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, treasurer's report is approved. Okay, now we're gonna jump into our audited financial statements for fiscal year ending July 31st, 2023. And I'm gonna turn it over to the audit committee chairman pro tem, Tim Stahl.
All right, we just completed the audit committee where the audit was presented to the committee. I don't know, are we gonna have an additional summary now, or are we just gonna say if questions are needed? What's the
If there's any
process?
questions by the board,
Okay.
ask now. If not, we make a motion to approve.
Okay. We've all heard it. We've made the presentation to the committee. Our committee will be recommending acceptance of it, approval. So
I'll move it.
I'll second.
motion second.
Okay, I just want to comment on, I want to thank the audit committee for taking the time to meet and discuss it, and I want to thank the team that worked with them, and also the participation of Kevin and Austin to address some of the deficiencies and have a plan for corrections. So I guess this is a full board. Okay.
The motion second.
Motion by Len Schick, seconded by Mark Greco to accept the audited financial statements. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those approved or against? Motion carried. Okay,
Skip the annual report and move down to the Daldrop project.
okay.
No?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Drive safe.
Thank you.
Okay, number 6, Daldrop SSB LLC, so.
So I just want to, I'd like to introduce Ben Morrow here, who is here on behalf of the company to make a short presentation about what they're looking to do. I think that the board has somewhat of an understanding from the initial resolution and previous conversations, but just to kind of talk about where you are with the project, and if there's any questions, you can answer that from the board, and if there's anything else, I can help fill in any gaps. So turn it over to you, Ben.
I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you. I'm Ben Morrow, Operations Manager of Daldrop North America, located in Syracuse currently. We have North American offices in Syracuse and in just outside of Boston. Daldrop is a 70-year-old company focused on clean manufacturing, almost exclusively in the large pharma industry. They have offices and manufacturing worldwide. They just entered the North American market about 7-8 years ago, and they partnered with my former company, SBB, hence the Deldrop SBB. SBB was a critical environment clean room company, manufacturing a lot of HVAC, again, centric to pharmaceutical and other critical environments. We've had a successful run over the past 7-8 years, and they've decided to expand their North American capabilities, mostly in the manufacturing sense. Right now it's a long lead time to get product shipped over from Germany. The original intent was to do this in Newburyport, the main office in Boston, but throughout the past year and a half, and with some help, we were able to entice them to consider Central New York, specifically the industrial park in Phoenix. We acquired, it's been, what, a year now?
Getting there.
Getting close to a year. We acquired approximately 17 acres in the industrial park, and we're intending on building our first facility. At some point, we'd like to turn this into a campus. That's the reason we got so much property. But the first phase is a single building, about 32,000 square feet of manufacturing and warehousing and distribution, but mostly manufacturing to shorten that gap of shipping. We currently employ about 10 to 12 employees. We have in Syracuse, we have 3 locations, a couple of offices, and one 17,000 square feet of warehouse and light value-add manufacturing in the old GM facility. We can consolidate all of that and then expand it in the new property. Right now, we've hired Smart Design out of Batavia. We've got our preliminary designs, and we're in the final stages. Hopefully this week, if not early next week, we'll make our decision on a general contractor to partner up with to help finish it. It's going to be a pre-engineered metal building to start with the ability to expand. And we were recently approved by the planning board. Our proposal.
Just to add a little bit to it, they're going to move all existing employees to this location. The IDA complied with our regulations to provide Onondaga County with a notice of abandonment that the jobs would be moving from Onondaga County to Oswego County. Also, they are going to be creating 20 new jobs over the course of this initial project. So the total employment will be approximately 30 people at the end of the project. And I believe Ben has a couple drawings he could pass around to show. It's going to be a beautiful facility. It's probably going to be this is going to be the one that we're going to show everybody when they come to the park to look at for the new park and everything else. So to show what we're looking for going forward.
Deldrop historically has always been very good to their employees and also a sustainable company. Not so much for plaques or credits, but more because they feel it's the right business move. So we will be looking at photovoltaics on our roof. We're also looking at a very large geothermal for our heating and HVAC. We've got transom windows all throughout the factory. They're a very good company. One of the things I've mentioned a couple of times is that they're from a small village in Germany, Neffelturgen. And when I brought the principals out to Phoenix, they remarked how similar it was to their hometown. They're a real village company. They're very, very active in their village, and they are also in Newburyport, which was also a village type setting, and I'm sure they will be in Phoenix as well.
Then I want to add, I mean, when you guys came out to look at it, I mean, there was a lot of advantages. I will say if you guys do additional projects and need to create a road back in there, we'll cut a deal to call it Neffelturgen Drive going in there. And, so for your little
Phoenix has long been known as the Neffelturgen of Central New York.
absolutely, we all knew it. Yeah, that's the best kept secret. So.
It's on the same.
So, but it's been a great working with you guys, and I think you're going to do a great job and be a great ambassador of both the industrial park, and like I said, I think that when we are showing new companies coming to town to look, we'll be definitely showcasing the facility you build, and hopefully you do the geothermal and things, because then that could be a case study to show how geothermal can work up in our climate.
It is, it's a very attractive building, it's gonna be a great addition to our industrial park. I see you've got, you know, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 2 and phase 3, are they
We do.
independent on anything, or is it something you're planning on?
No, we only mentioned them right now just to put it out there. We haven't applied for it, it's not declared, it just shows up on some drawings. We, in Doldrum especially, wants to have the foresight with the utilities, with the power, with the layout. You know, we're looking at a roundabout in the center to get to the different building. So it was more for planning purposes on our own. But the growth would either be direct with Doldrum, so another manufacturing. Right now we're looking at primarily sheet metal manufacturing. Doldrum produces all the architectural components as well as the HVAC, the mechanical and electrical for the clean rooms. And it's that real Bauhaus stainless steel glass German style. That's kind of the hallmark of their, and so we'll be producing that initially. Ceilings, walls, flooring, and then we'd like to consider first value adding to the air handling side, and then perhaps setting up different divisions for the air handling, filtration, HEPA filter manufacturing, and air moving equipment.
Thank you.
One other thing I want to add, I know it wasn't asked, but there was a public hearing held on the project on Monday. There were 3 people in attendance, in addition to myself and Ben, and which was the town supervisor for Scruple, Supervisor Redhead, there Joanne Nazarian from the town board, as well as Mary Ellen Chesborough from the county legislature, and they all had positive things to say about the project. And I believe it was a very productive conversation at that public hearing.
If I could, I'd also, quick, I'd also like to highlight the fact that this is a really good example of how the IDA, I think, is supposed to work, right? We help people come in, we find them a location, they're able to purchase it, they become residents, and they invest in our community for the long haul. So again, I want to commend our management here as well for the work they've done, as well as thank you for being willing to invest with us.
We appreciate it as well. You know, the second that it's been surprisingly relatively easy to navigate. And great chaperone.
My question is, the increase in employees from 10 to 20 or 30, whatever it's going to be, is that going to be during phase 1?
Yes, absolutely.
That's just
100%,
phase 1.
Yeah, that's phase 1.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're
That's awesome.
we're expecting a minimum of 20, but I feel like that's conservative. Yeah.
Always ask them to be conservative so they can hit the numbers.
Don't disappoint, right?
That's right.
Everything is, all of our estimations have been based off of phase 1.
Okay, any more questions or for Ben? Okay, so I guess we'll act on the resolutions. First is the seeker resolution. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mark Greco. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Barry Trimble. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeker is carried. Inducement resolution. Can I get a motion on that, please?
I'll make it.
Motion by Tim Stahl. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Len Schick. Okay, any questions on the inducement resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Can I real quick, before we do the pilot resolution, we didn't discuss, so for this project, we are doing the manufacturer UTEP, which is just strictly the 20-year UTEP schedule for a new construction manufacturing project, nothing out of the ordinary related to that, which also includes, does not include mortgage reporting tax exemptions, because the company is funding it internally, but it does include sales tax exemptions that they have, taking a look at it here, the sales, yeah, $500,000 of estimated value, not to exceed $500,000 of value for the sales tax exemption. Just wanted to provide that, so it's on record for those listening.
And as a reminder for those listening at home, UTEP is the Uniform Tax Exempt.
Correct.
So this is our standard policy that is available.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, so the pilot resolution.
I'll move it.
Motion by Len Schick, can I get a second?
I'll say.
Seconded by Mark Greco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pilot resolution is carried. The final approving resolution, can I get a motion on that, please?
I'll make it.
Motion by Tim Stahl, seconded by Mark Greco.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it is carried.
Okay.
Then,
Appreciate it.
You
Thank
are
you very, very
approved.
much.
So next steps are, we'll have to move towards closing and Kevin knows the process, so I don't think we'll have an issue there, but it is a little bit of a process to navigate to closing, but
Yeah, we spoke of it.
Yep.
A little bit, look forward to it.
good. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for coming in,
thank
Ben.
you for coming in.
You're all set.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for choosing your industrial park.
Absolutely.
So we'll stay in touch on next steps, so.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome to have coffee and some treats if you want.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, take care. All right, number 7, La Chase Development.
Right, so I'm gonna cover this one. We met Greg Markstrom from La Chase, or Barkstrom, excuse me, not at the last meeting, but the meeting before that. He came and presented this project.
Yeah, we're gonna move this right after this.
So this is the Connect Care expansion in Oswego. It includes the purchase and renovation of the former Oswego School District Administration Building across the river here on the east side, and renovating 2 floors of that property to be clinical care space for primary care, or clinical space, I should say, for primary care, dental, mental health, and other services provided by Connect Care. So it really is a good project. The number and the drawings that we saw at the last meeting are impressive, with a number of exam rooms, etc. This is definitely clinical space, not office or storage or overhead. This is definitely space where patients will come. So we've been working with both La Chase and Connect Care. La Chase will be owning the building. The transaction is structured such that La Chase will buy and own the building and then lease the entire building to Connect Care on a long-term lease. And so La Chase has applied for benefits for the project, though the ultimate beneficiary of all of these benefits will be Connect Care, because the way their deal is structured, any sales tax exemptions, any mortgage reporting tax exemptions, and certainly the pilot would accrue, the benefit would accrue to Connect Care. We have worked with both entities to come up with a pilot structure that makes sense. You can see it's a 10-year proposed deviation from our UTEP policy. 10 years works because the way the lease is structured with Connect Care and La Chase, Connect Care will be obligated under a 30-year lease to buy the building after 10 years. So there's most likely at the end of 10 years, Connect Care, a not-for-profit, will purchase the building and therefore not really have a need for a pilot. But right now, with a for-profit owner, La Chase, basically by way of lease, in a sense, financing the project, the pilot will basically mimic what Connect Care would have gotten as far as sales tax exempt or property tax exemptions anyway. So in that building, there's 4 floors. So if we roughly, it's not quite correct, but imagine each floor is 25% of the square footage. The bottom floor is a little bit less, but just for easy math, basically we will work, the proposed structure of the pilot is we will work with Connect Care, who will be the master tenant, each year with our accountant to get a statement of basically a rent roll, a time-weighted average of occupancy of the space. So the percentage of the space that's used by for-profit entities will be taxed at the full by way of the pilot, but the pilot payment will be calculated at prevailing tax rates, and then an assessment of the space that the for-profit tenants use. So the for-profit space will basically pay full tax. The not-for-profit space, Connect Care, essentially, or potentially another not-for-profit tenant, would be tax exempt, as they would be if they had owned the building directly.
This is similar to another pilot that we've structured for OA properties involved in the past, so it's exactly follows the same
So
thing.
right now, there's 4 floors in that building. One is a for-profit company. The building will be paying 25. If that floor is 25% of the square footage, it's a little bit less, but they'd be paying a quarter of the tax, basically.
Of what the tax is.
The normal, what we call normal tax, which is the year's
Not
prevailing
prorated or
rate.
anything. Okay.
Yeah, correct. It would
So
be
the
the
actual
full
assessed
vote.
value.
Yeah, so we will work with the assessor if it works out to be possible to get a separate assessment on each floor. If not, we'll use the total assessment for the building either way.
Based on the current assessment?
Yeah, current assessment. So it'll fluctuate as assessment fluctuates and also as tax rates fluctuate into the 10-year period.
Does it require that So you said the first floor tenant is fully taxed, so.
Yeah.
The idea is, and I understand it's 25% of what the current would be, if that is vacant, or if it changes, tenants, does that matter? Would La Chase still be on the hook regardless?
They'd only be on the hook if it's a for-profit tenant. So they'd be paying a pilot payment based on a for-profit tenant being in there.
What if it's vacant?
Yeah, but Tim said if it's vacant.
It would be, so we have the real case is the fourth floor of that building. So Connect Care at the moment has plans to develop, I'm calling it the lower level firstly, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Aqua Spa, to be clear, is first floor. Connect Care is going to use floors 2 and 3. There is no plan at this precise moment to develop the fourth floor. It is not part of this project. It is included in the sales tax exemption, but it's not part of this budgeted project. They just simply don't have a tenant. Connect Care will be the master tenant of the entire building. They will have a lease for the entire building. So any empty space is Connect Care space. It would be exempted.
Not taxable?
Yeah, not taxable.
It's in their best interest to have a tenant.
But they will be paying full boat lease to La Chase for that space. So they can't afford to carry an empty, half of that building empty. And they have realistic possible tenants for the fourth floor. The first floor is fully leased with options to renew. But
Let me ask you, if the first floor were to be vacant,
yeah,
would La Chase still be on the hook for the full assessed payment to us as a pilot?
no, because it would be occupied by Connect Care then, the master tenant, which is a not-for-profit, in the way we're proposing it.
Unless they brought a new for-profit.
Yeah,
business.
but for the days of the 360 or 65 days a year we use for the calculation, we'll, if it's empty, it's ultimately the tenant is a not-for-profit. If they sublet it to a for-profit, then it would be taxed at.
So
That's
they're
what we're
leasing the
proposing,
whole
at least.
building, which is.
They are leasing the whole building, that's
Whole
important to
building.
know.
Okay,
The Chase
okay.
involved, I think it's best to think of that as a financing structure. That's really what it is here. They're buying the building and they plan to sell it, by contract, sell it to Connect Care in 10 years. So they have a lease with a kind of forced call option, I guess you could say.
Kevin, I'm just a little confused on
Yeah.
this, maybe I can talk to you afterwards, but, so, Connect Care is a non-for-profit, they're not
Correct.
required to pay taxes.
Yes, yep, correct.
But, they're gonna lease the building from La Chase.
The
So
entire
La Chase
building.
technically is the owner of the building.
Mhm.
So, why is La Chase not responsible for the tax on the building if Connect Care is paying the lease? I'm not following that, maybe I'm just a little bit off, I'm a little confused here.
Well, the Chase, you mean legally responsible? The payer, it will be La Chase.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Connect Care will pay that bill though. It's a triple net situation. So the tenant,
So the owner of the
Pays
building actually gets a tax break if he gives out space to a non-for-profit, is that normal, is that standard in all circumstances? I'm just a little curious about that.
It's not a typical situation. I mean, typically the property would be owned directly by the not-for-profit and then it would be completely tax exempt.
But that's not the case here.
Correct.
The case here is,
right?
we have a commercial building that's being purchased by a,
So we're trying to structure a
Corporation.
deal that would be similar to if this was a building that was owned directly by Connect Care and was off of the tax rolls completely. Because of the way that they're financing it, that's not how it will be, because it'll be owned by La Chase. But for all intents and purposes, the owner is going to be Connect Care, because they already have a structure in place that they will acquire it at a certain date. So
It mimics, if Connect Care just bought that building, it would 100% come off the tax
Oh,
rolls. And then maybe, and this doesn't happen all the time, the assessor would approach them about taxing the first floor because it's for use by a for-profit. But I say maybe, because we deal with these buildings and it doesn't happen in all cases around the county. And then the fourth floor would absolutely be exempt. So OCO is a not-for-profit, they certainly have empty rooms or empty space in some of their buildings, attics, basements, unused rooms. They're also not exempted. So that's why this mimics. So that fourth floor is by a long-term lease, basically owned by, the title is in La Chase's name, but there's a 30-year lease going to be signed with Connect Care. So they have,
I got you.
Yeah.
It's just this mental block in my brain. Kevin, is all this perfectly within the rule of law, I guess? That's my next question.
Yes,
Okay.
the structure holds up under the general municipal law, and as Austin pointed out, it's not without precedent here in this county with some of what we've done for OH properties.
So what's the amount of the payment going to be?
it's a little bit difficult to estimate everything we would do at this point because it is based on assessment, as you know, Tim, is an estimate.
Sure.
it's a little bit, so it's a little bit shot in the dark how this building will be assessed in the future, because of most of the renovations are interior, et cetera, but
They're
We-
also going through a reval and they haven't identified
Yeah.
what that actual base
In
value
city.
is gonna be on the reval.
So
So
I'm assuming they'll end up somewhere near the purchase
I mean,
price.
today it's what, I mean, round figures, it's 1.9 million, we've used 3 million as
Mhm.
the assumption. Then if we assume that 3 out of the 4 floors are used by not-for-profits, which is the likely case, I mean, the 4th floor will most likely be, I shouldn't say most likely, there's a chance it'll be leased to a for-profit or not-for-profit, there's nothing to announce yet on that though. The companies have, ConnectScare is having detailed conversations with a couple of potential candidates, 2, and one is a for-profit, one a not-for-profit. So at 3 million, and assuming only 25% of the building is taxable, the pilot payment would be 30,000.
So the current final payment on that property is 65,000 at 1.8% or 1.8 million assessed.
So we're estimating it's gonna be somewhere just shy of half of what the payment currently is. But like I said, we're basing that on some estimates that, you know, some of those things are out of our control in terms of what they assess the property at, and then what ultimately happens with the percentage of space that's leased to the for-profit entities.
No, and typically, we will not offer a pilot that reduces the payment to the host community and to the county. That said, if, like you said, if this was purchased by a nonprofit, we'd be out of the loop completely.
Yeah.
But we're not out of the loop. This is something going for our board, and it's something we should consider. That said, you know, if they were to purchase it, or is there a reason why they're not just purchasing? I'm sure it's financially better for the nonprofit to, right? I mean, there's a reason why the Chase is buying this and taking 10 years to sell it to them.
Financing, basically, it's a
Financing,
way to
right.
find, yeah, it's a stretch, I mean, so
Especially
the
if
structure of
today's
the
financing
deal
structure.
is, ConnectScare is paying for the renovations, which is also, is a quite
Sure.
a big nut, well, you can see it on here at $7.6 million, so that, it's saving them the upfront cost of the building purchase, basically. But ConnectScare is at risk if they don't get leased, for example, the 4th floor, if they lose their first floor tenant.
What type of, it becomes an assessor's issue at this point though, right? If 3 years down the road from now, we're not gonna go up there and knock on the door and find out who's on the 4th floor and make sure they're paying.
We actually
We do.
will find out every year.
Okay.
So we
They're
propose to do it's a third party kind of accounting of the, so you know, that maybe that lease, so to be time weighted, so if they're in there 9 months out of the year, they'll get 3 quarters.
Okay, so that would be our
basically.
responsibility as the office to,
It's gonna be written into the lease that we're gonna require on a yearly basis, they give us their last year's numbers on a percentage basis. So it'll be percentage of the space and then by time.
Number of days or
Yeah.
months,
and it's our responsibility to create the bill, so to speak, of what they have to
We
pay.
do this for other ones too.
We
and
do.
we could do.
Yeah, there's other pilots that we have to get data from the company, like occupancy in one case.
And I'll also
some other
state that
things.
we've already had conversations with city assessors that they're comfortable with the model in terms of being able to look at giving us an assessed value on a yearly basis of space that's being utilized. So not necessarily just looking at a pro rata share of the whole building, because obviously the space of the building that's getting to work is the second and third floor, not necessarily the first floor. So it's kind of hard to say you're responsible for that entire assessed value change when your space didn't change. It's just the floors that actually are exempt change. So we're gonna work with the assessor to kind of, on a by floor basis, find out what the assessed value of that building is. A little different than you typically would do, but that's kind of what we've discussed with them, coming up with.
Can we, I'd like to discuss something specific that should probably be done in executive before we vote on this. Is that something that we can do right now? Can we hold until then? There's a specific conversation about.
Go into executive session if it's brought up by the board and approved by the board.
Can we just wait, till we go?
Well, I know Kevin has a timeline, I'd kinda like him to be here for the conversations.
Well, either way, I mean,
We can,
I'm available, but
yeah, we can put them on the audio too.
Okay, as long as you're comfortable with that, is everyone else okay to wait on this until we get to executive session, or could we go to executive now and address it?
I'm under real time crunch. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd listen in.
Okay.
I think there was one other issue though that we wanted.
There's another one that's not under executive session, so maybe we wait till,
I'm fine with that.
if you're good, and then we come back and approve that
Should we
one.
table this discussion?
Could we, yeah, if we can go to the next thing that Kevin needs to do, that's okay.
Okay, so, we'll put a pause on that. Larry, no, what was the other one? Number 10, okay. S&A Holdings, mortgage modification?
So, yeah, S&A Holdings is the, business in Fulton, the old Leisha nursing home.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. They have asked for and are receiving an additional consolidation extension modification agreement from Pathfinder Bank to extend their financing of paying interest only for another 12 months as they get ready to open. They've hired staff, they have an administrator, they have a dietitian, they have
Maintenance supervisor.
maintenance supervisor. They've purchased equipment, they've furnished rooms, they're ready to go. They're just waiting on the final approval from the state Department of Health on their certificate of need, which is imminent. They're being told it's any week now. They're hoping to be open by the end of the calendar year here in 23, but possibly into first part of 24 when they're fully open. The reason this is coming before this board is because we've signed off on, we have a pilot agreement on the property. We're in ownership through the company and agency lease, and so we're entitled to the property. The bank needs the consent of the IDA in order to consolidate, extend the mortgage terms. It doesn't have a financial impact on the agency because our only interest is based on a pilot agreement. But this is going to assist the borrower in finally getting open.
How many years is that now? It's just before COVID, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
This is the old meat shop nursing home in Fulton.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was, in fact, we had to make special arrangements to use Fulton City Hall for the public hearing, because they had shut down already for COVID. It was in March of 2020. Very, very, very specifically.
Timing was not good.
I know,
Yeah.
too
But
bad.
so we just need to vote. Just to vote. I'm certainly recommending it. We've added, talked to the bank's attorneys, added language that non-recourse language for the agency, that all of the original terms of the agency and company lease and the pilot agreement continue in full force and effect. This doesn't affect the IDA's position at all.
Okay.
Okay, so can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
Second motion by Len Schick. Do I have a second on SMA Holdings?
I'll second it.
Second by Nick Canali. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, I think at this point, we need to go into executive session, so Kevin, can I ask you, the detail why we need to go? Why we should go into executive session?
I believe it, to discuss the personal or financial information of a particular corporation or person under Public Officers Law 105.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion and a second to go into executive session? Motion by Mark Greco, seconded by Len Schick. Time?
9:37.
ready to learn.
Okay,
Hey, I'm still here, but I'm checking in to the airport, so just so you know, I'm gonna mute myself.
11:21
I think it's
a.m.
good to go.
Okay, a motion and a second to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Mark Ricko, seconded by Len Schick. At what time, Tim?
11:21.
11:21. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, I just want to go over a few things we discussed in the executive session while it's still fresh in our mind. Bonus Restaurant, USDA IRP loan. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
I'll make it.
Motion by Tim Stalls, seconded by
I'll second.
Mark Greco. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, the Wacko Gringo Restaurant, again, the USDA IRP loan. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
I'll make it. Oh,
As amended.
As,
Is that amended?
no,
no,
No.
I think there was a mention that Kevin was gonna revise something on the flag.
Oh, no,
Pound of
we're gonna
bonus,
go
yeah.
first. No, we're gonna make it first. We're gonna be joint.
sorry,
motion.
Wacko Gringo, yes,
all
yeah.
right,
So that's the.
As amended.
I vote amended.
okay, as amended.
As amended.
All right, motion by Len Schick, seconded by Nick Canale. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The Friends of Recovery of Oswego County,
Move the table.
motion to
Second.
table by Len Schick, seconded by Tim Stahl. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The pilot EDF report of September 30th, a motion to accept as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Mark Greco, seconded by Len Schick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the delinquent loan report given by Kevin LaMontagne.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Tim Stahl, seconded by
I'll second it.
Mark Greco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, now we jump back up to, I guess, the Chase Development Services.
I'll make a motion on the secret resolution.
Oh, we're ready to do the resolutions?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So a motion on the secret resolution, Nick Canale, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mark Greco. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The inducement resolution. Do I have a motion?
I'll
on
make the motion.
Motion by Tim Stahl, seconded by
I'll second.
Mark Greco on the inducement resolution. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. The pilot resolution. Can I get a motion on the pilot? Len Schick, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark Greco. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. And the final approving resolution.
I'll move it.
Motion by Nick Canale,
Second.
seconded by Mark Greco. Any discussion on the final approving resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's carried. So now, number 8, Pathfinder Industries.
Yeah, I can give a quick on this. So we were requested by Pathfinder Industries earlier this month to give an approval related to, there was a closing that was going to affect their property line. They were approving it themselves, so we are, so I signed a document because of a quick closing that they were having. So we're actually asking for a ratification of consent to agree to the position, the boundary line agreement, because the owner, Pathfinder Industries, that we have the pilot agreement with, also agrees. So because there's a pilot on the property, we have to be involved in those sort of decisions. Kevin Caracoli also reviewed it and provided his legal advice and counsel to sign the document. So we're asking at this point for ratification of the consent to the boundary line agreement.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Motion by Len Schick, seconded by Mark Greco on the boundary line agreement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay,
We still have the.
we still got the,
That's Oswego too.
we got Oswego 2 and we got the annual report.
Yes, oh yeah. Let's do the annual report next. You have in your packet here, this is the 2023 annual report. A couple of things I wanted to just quickly say about it. We're providing it for your approval. This document is required as part of our parish reporting to be approved by the agency within 90 days of the end of fiscal year. Highlights of this year's annual report are the projects assisted, you can find on page 9. You can also find other highlights of the loans that were paid in full on page 10. The statements of revenues, expenditures, and net position that was already explained by the auditors are on page 11. It's taken directly from the audited financial statements. We have the disposition of real property on page 12, which were the Centerville Peck Road site to the town of Richland, as well as the property to Jeff Slobe at the Columbia Mill site. Other highlights, other items I would like to highlight, the resignation of L. Michael Treadwell as CEO and the approval of Austin Wheelock as CEO. Also want to highlight the resignation of IDA board member Morris Sorbello and the appointment of Tricia Peter Clark. Other highlights include the policies that were reviewed and reaffirmed, the update to the bylaws by the board, and last but definitely not least, the recapitalization of the pilot EDF by Oswego County Legislature through Resolution 338 of 2022. So these are all items that are kind of called out in bullets, as well as there's some charts in there. This is a required document we need to put together on an annual basis as part of being a public authority, and to provide this information to the New York State Comptroller and Authority Budgets Office. So don't know if there's any questions on it. It's a typical document. It does call out some of the highlights of the organization over the year, but a lot of it is I'll call it boilerplate document information that we need to do as an organization. A lot of it doesn't change on a year-to-year basis. Called out the highlights because that's really the main things that were changed in here. So
Can you just take a look at page 8 at the bottom? Sure. It's like maybe something got cut off, I'm not sure. The last bullet.
possibly.
I'm just having to flip at it and look at it.
Probably the formatting issue and got knocked to the next page.
Apply for federal. Yes, okay.
Is that just all that happened? Is it got knocked to the next
Just
page?
got to the next page.
Well, we
Yeah.
got, and also, I mean, if we're gonna do grammar, the word work should be capitalized right after the period.
Yes. Yep. We can.
Just because that jumped out at me, not that it's not important, but.
That's a good point, and I think if there's any other things, we can approve it as amended and then get it posted. So
Okay.
that's the biggest
I'll make a
issue.
motion.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the annual report as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mark Greco, seconded by Tim Stahl. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Annual report is approved. And now we jump down to SSC Oswego 2, consent to ownership change.
So this is, like many of these we've seen, we had approved an ownership change for SSC Oswego previously within what's called a basically a group of companies known as Reactivate. This is a request. That change actually never went forward, so this is a substitute request to authorize a change of ownership. They're bundling this thing up for basically sale. So what they do is they're putting this, it's the same transaction we see every time. The operating company that's here on this town line with Scriba, that's the plant we're talking about. That's SSC Oswego 2. It's in the city of Oswego at the boundary, and it's changing hands within the Reactivate group. So it's coming from one part of their very large organizational chart of all these solar parks and moving to another one. But they need our permission to do it, and then if they sell it, they'll probably sell some parent in their organization. So we, in a sense, they're grouping these together, bundling them for sale. This is the second one they've gone through. Again, they pay our legal costs. We do charge a fee for the change, and they've come to us and requested
Still a lot
that
of
we
work.
make this. These requests for changes are mostly handled by the attorneys. So the due diligence aspect, understanding the organizational chart, Barclay Damon takes care of that and bills them for it. So I'm happy to let them do that. In the early days, I would get a little bit more involved, but we've
Okay.
learned there. I've
Good.
learned that
All right.
if there's things they'll do and bill our clients, especially solar companies, we let them do it. So sometimes the app, they do a little more detailed review on the apps than we do in house, and we just pass it off to them.
Good.
Yeah. This one is under construction over there. If you haven't seen it yet, behind Lowe's, basically.
There's no net effect to us.
No, it's a consent to this change, which the standard in our agreements is not to unreasonably withhold it.
Just routine, right, Kevin?
It is. This is. If I could speak for Kevin for a minute on this,
First by TSA right now.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess
I'll make a motion.
entertain motion for ownership change for SS Oswego. Motion by Nick Canale, seconded by Len Schick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, next thing is other business, I believe, that's our next thing. I just wanna say,
Why don't we do
Oh.
a meeting first?
yeah, well, let's do that, that's a good idea.
Next idea, next meeting.
So, we are potentially looking at having a special meeting for a project that the IDA has already seen, but we're not sure when it'll be ready yet, so there may be a need for a special meeting in sort of early to mid-November. So we could either schedule a meeting for mid-November, or we could schedule a meeting for late November, however you want to handle that, knowing that with the holiday season. I'm flexible either way, I don't really, if, so I just wanna say if we do schedule a meeting for late November, like after Thanksgiving, we'll probably look to have a special meeting scheduled at some time the week of, like, say, the 8th to between the 8th and 13th or sometime in there, but we don't know yet, on that, so. I guess, do we wanna schedule something like Tuesday, November 28th for our next scheduled board meeting? And then if there's a need to have a special board meeting early in November, we can handle that?
Works fine. Sure.
Or just
Schedule.
the weekend, the week before Thanksgiving, to
Yeah.
have one meeting, is that an option? I
can't
just
do-
throw that
I
out.
can't do the 28th, I can do the 29th.
I could do
So
the
what's-
29th.
Okay,
Huh?
so
Can't
Wednesday,
do the 28th either. The 29th will work.
29th, does that work?
yeah, it's a workforce development board, but I can miss it, that's fine. I think that, the issue with scheduling one early is we don't know when it needs to be yet, because there's a couple of things up in the air, so the date of that could be a targeted move. We may not end up needing to do a special meeting either, so.
If we do a special meeting, we could call in and do the meeting and stuff too, if we needed to, if it's
That
just a
works
short
We could
meeting
do it,
for a specific purpose.
Do you want to
I
do
can do
8:30 or do
29.
you want to do 9?
I think 8:30.
Does that work for you?
Does
8:30?
that work for you, Nick?
It does, no dentist appointment that day.
How about you?
29th,
Kevin, is that good for you, 8:30,
Yeah.
11:29? Okay.
Kevin, are you by chance on Caracoli? No, okay.
We'll follow up with him. I mean, the other thing is we're missing.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry, I'm here. I had to
The
go through,
The 29th of November, is that good for you in the
yeah,
morning?
yeah, that works. I was listening along and I'm wide open that day, so.
Okay,
Obviously, we'll want to check with the other 3 board members who are not here at the moment, but, or 2 board members, sorry, between Barry and Tricia.
11:29 at 8:30.
It shouldn't be long, it shouldn't be too long, I mean, I have a doctor's appointment at 1 o'clock, so.
Okay.
We should be okay.
I don't anticipate it being this long. But that would be the one where we do our confidential board evaluation and other items, plus whatever comes up between now and then. So, okay. So if we have that date as the next 11:29, 8:30 a.m. The last piece of business I want to bring up under other business is we still have one slot available for the New York State EDC IDA training event. That's on November 9th. Do want to say that that is a good event for if anyone needs to do their training. I think that the only person who needs to do their training is already going to it. But it also has some best practices for IDAs and some other things that would be helpful for somebody if you want to attend. So don't need an answer right now, but if we can talk
Got me
offline.
down as wanting to go to there, right?
I don't. So if that's the case, that's 4. We're good then if it's you. All right.
All right.
Good. Okay. That's that then. If
Yeah.
anyone else additional wants to go, we can pay for it on top of it, but we do have 4 slots that came with our sponsorship of that program. So,
Can you send me the details of times and
Mhm, will do.
stuff?
yeah,
Is this,
it's in Lions Falls.
oh, no, it's not that, it's how important is this training? I mean, I have to teach a class, is it worth canceling the class over to go to this training?
If you don't need it, I wouldn't say it is,
Okay.
but it's something if you do have the availability, it's not a bad thing to do.
Thanks.
Okay?
I'll get back.
Thanks, Jay.
We do a quick adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Who was it? I didn't catch it.
Mark motion and Tim second and everybody approved it.
Okay.